I'm Karin. Welcome to my world. Inspired by the corona changes we see right now, I want to talk a little bit about energy. It's what's been on my mind this morning. Energy cleanup, because I feel this is a really good time to check what's determining how you feel. I can feel people's mood when I walk on the streets these days. It's really heavy, it's very fear induced. Um, I'm still allowed to go outside, but I actually don't like it very much because it makes my knees hurt and I get completely drained and exhausted. So I think all of us, maybe unconsciously, but I think all of us pick up how other people feel. So if there's a lot of people feeling the same way, we feel it strongly. If we're at a concert and everybody's having a good time, it lifts our mood and we feel the same way. And if right now we're on the streets and people are scared, people are nervous, worrying about what will happen, we feel that too. We may not always think about it, put it into words. Sometimes it's just like, I like to be here, I don't like to be here. I feel good around this person, I don't feel good around this person. For me, I try to keep it clean. I try to not be in fear, which happens, absolutely happens to me all the time. For me, it's more about how fast can I figure out that I'm in fear or out of balance, and how quickly can I get back away from that place into something that feels more comfortable. And you could say that I'm doing a service to the people around me, because if I am in fear, other people will have the same experience as I do. So one of the ways I can help is by not being in fear. This is in part because I have a very sensitive child who picks up any mood I have. So I've had to learn, in order to keep my child balanced, to keep myself balanced. And it's very useful these days because at least I feel I can do something. If I can take the responsibility for me, be responsible for me for how I feel, and switch that from fear and worry, I'm helping just a little bit to make other people feel good too, or just a little better. The other reason why it's important for me to not be in the drama energies is because they're just not really comfortable. They're super uncomfortable to be in. I do not feel good when I worry, when I'm afraid, when I'm upset about something. It's just not something I want to do. So I'm always trying to not be there. I always end up there and then I always try to leave because I'm human. I mean, humans love a good drama. There's nothing better. That's why we make all the movies we do. But this could be a time to do a little energy cleanup, to, get yourself in order. Try to get through this in a slightly more comfortable way than it could be, because we have a choice here. You do have a choice, regardless of what happens around you, regardless of what happens around me. We do have a choice in how we want to handle it. And that is an individual choice. I don't have a magic wand. I don't have rainbows and unicorns. Though I know that would be hugely appreciated in this house. But I don't have any of these things. But what I do have is a few tips for how you can sort of check where does your mood come from and what changes your mood, to call it something more palatable perhaps than energy. As I mentioned in another talk, that I love news. I love to learn about history and politics and what it's like in other countries. And I've been just wallowing in news this past month and a half because there's been so much happening all the time. But now I'm able to step back just a little bit and notice a couple of things. One thing I notice is that just opening the website of one of my favorite newspapers is close to giving me a fear attack. Not anxiety, but it just really washes over me. If I step back and look at the headlines, it's so much about this could happen. This is how bad it could get. And oh my goodness, this many people did so and so. And I understand them because they have to sell their paper, they have to generate the interest. And to generate the interest, you have to come up with something new. The only thing anyone really has to talk about right now is the corona changes. So they have to keep coming up with something new about something we already heard about for 2 months. And that's a challenge for a newspaper. So they have to keep topping what they wrote about yesterday. And they have very few things to choose from. And because they're into topping this, what I get is stories about failed experiment, about a drug that didn't work after all. And that puzzled me because I read 2 different articles yesterday in other news sources that talks about 2 very promising experiments going on. And it was not the same drug. So one newspaper is posting about the drug that failed, and other newspapers are posting about drugs that may succeed. And that makes a big difference in how you feel when you read about it. Again, I mentioned this when I talked yesterday. Local newspaper where I am here, I'm in Ireland now, they're asking people to get in touch if they're losing their job or their business due to the coronavirus. Again, they need stories, but the stories that show how difficult this is are more interest. I do feel that it's super important to stress to people just how serious this is, because we do need to take it serious, or it will escalate by a lot. So I'm not saying that we should make it any less than it is, but you may for yourself want to consider, not just now, but at any given time, how you feel when you open a website. The easiest way to figure it out is by just getting in touch with your feelings right before you go to your favorite daily, maybe several times a day website, and then see if anything switches, if anything changes. If you're in a good mood and suddenly you're not, that should be a warning signal. Then you might want to find another source or not go as often or just read the headlines, whatever. But it's a really good check to see if the websites you usually visit or the people that you usually hang out with or are in touch with, how they are affecting you. And if that is the way you want to feel. And if you don't want to feel that way, if you don't want to be governed by fear and anxiety and pass that on to the person next to you, then you might want to reconsider what you're spending your time on. Social media is often given a lot of heat for being very dramatic and fear-inducing. And I'm not on a lot. I'm not on Twitter. Instagram I only used to check out tattoos. But I do have Facebook, and unlike most people, I absolutely love my Facebook feed. It is so interesting and so inspiring. I get some of the people I'm friends with, they post inspirational quotes and wisdom from the ancients. One person, Andrew Gentile, apart from being a hypnotherapist, he started working with the Inuits in Canada, and I'm learning so much about that from articles that he's posting. I learned first from Facebook that there's a car now that will drive on salt water instead of electricity. I learned about groups that are getting together, Facebook groups in Canada, but also in other places, to break the isolation of people who have to stay at home and to help each other out. I get all this wonderful information about new initiatives all over the world, about people getting together. Right now, there's lots of sharing resources for teaching children, sharing them from Denmark, from the US, from all over the world. And this is very different to what most people feel they get from Facebook. And this is because I just don't have the friends that get into drama and get into fear. I don't have the friends that share fake advice on how to beat the virus. I don't have the friends who make me feel afraid. I have the friends that gives me inspiration and leads me to discover new things that I maybe not would have found otherwise. So that's worth considering too. And you should know that there are a couple of things you can do. If you unfriend someone on Facebook, they're not going to know. They're not going to see that you're no longer friends. They're not going to get a message. You can also, if you feel for some political reason or family reason that you want to stay friends but you really don't want to read what they're saying, you can mute them for 30 days. So that's another option. But if you do not like to be in fear, if you prefer to be in a calmer state of mind, I really strongly advise to do some energy cleaning right now, because right now it's very obvious and it's pretty easy to tell because the emotions are flowing so strongly. So this is a good time, I think, to do some cleanup and clear away the people, not necessarily clear them away, but maybe ice them a bit, whatever. But sort the people in your life, sort the websites, the social medias, anywhere you get your input from. Because you'll be doing both yourself a service and everyone around you a service. That's it for now.